There are places on Earth where scale alone changes everything, where the horizon feels endless and the land stretches so far it begins to blur the line between sky and ground. In a world of defined boundaries, this is a land that feels almost without limits. In Central Asia lies Kazakhstan, the largest landlocked country on Earth, defined by vast steppes, deserts, and mountain ranges that shape a landscape of striking contrast. From the open grasslands that once carried nomadic civilizations to the towering peaks along its eastern borders, this is a geography built on movement and space. Historically, Kazakhstan stood along the ancient Silk Road, serving as a bridge between East and West, where cultures, goods, and ideas passed across its expansive terrain. Its identity was shaped by nomadic traditions, where life adapted to the rhythms of the land, creating a culture deeply connected to nature and mobility. Yet beyond its scale lies something less seen: hidden canyons, remote lakes, and surreal landscapes that remain far from the global spotlight. Places where silence dominates and where nature reveals itself in unexpected forms. A land of space, contrast, and quiet mystery. Across a land where horizons stretch without end and movement once defined survival, there exists a story shaped by both vast geography and deep cultural roots. In today's world, this is a place balancing rapid transformation with traditions that trace back through centuries of nomadic life. In Central Asia lies Kazakhstan, a nation defined by immense open landscapes, from sweeping steppe grasslands to arid deserts and rugged mountain ranges in the east. Its geography has long influenced how people live and move, with seasonal migration once forming the core of daily life, as communities followed water, climate, and grazing lands. Historically, Kazakhstan played a vital role along the Silk Road, connecting major civilizations across Asia and Europe. This position allowed the exchange of goods, ideas, and culture, shaping a diverse identity influenced by Turkic, Mongol, and later Russian traditions. In the modern era, it became part of the Soviet Union before gaining independence in 1991, marking a new chapter in its national development. Culturally, this legacy remains visible, from traditional yurts and horseback practices to music, cuisine, and a strong sense of connection to the land. Despite modernization, these traditions continue to define identity across both rural and urban life, a place where geography shapes movement and culture carries the memory of the land. In a land where rivers carve their paths through vast open space, there are places where geography reveals patterns so precise they seem almost intentional. A landscape where movement, water, and terrain come together to form something both natural and extraordinary. southeastern Kazakhstan flows the Tekes River, a river known not just for its journey, but for the remarkable formations it creates across the steppe and valley systems. As it winds through the land, it shapes fertile plains and supports ecosystems that stand in contrast to the surrounding arid regions. But beyond its role as a lifeline, the Tekes River is also part of one of the most unique geographical phenomena in the region: its contribution to the rare 8-trigram landscape pattern formed by intersecting waterways and terrain, visible from above as a near-perfect natural design. Here, water becomes both creator and guide, defining where life gathers and how the land evolves over time. The surrounding valleys open into wide horizons where sky and earth seem to meet without interruption. There are landscapes where time becomes visible, where layers of rock reveal a story written slowly across millions of years. A place where wind and water have carved the earth into shapes so intricate, it feels almost deliberate. In southeastern Kazakhstan lies Charan Canyon, a vast natural formation often compared to the Grand Canyon, yet holding a character entirely its own. Stretching over 150 kilometers along the Charan River, it reveals towering red rock formations shaped by erosion over time. Here, the canyon walls rise in dramatic columns and ridges, forming what is known as the Valley of Castles, where rock structures resemble ancient towers and fortresses frozen in stone. As sunlight moves across the canyon, the colors shift from deep red to warm orange, bringing the entire landscape to life. Hidden deep within a mountain corridor where forests climb steep slopes and silence fills the air, there exists a chain of lakes that feel untouched, layered, remote, and quietly breathtaking. A place where water reflects not just the sky but the stillness of an entire landscape. Southeastern Kazakhstan, near the border with Kyrgyzstan, lie the Kolsai Lakes, a series of alpine lakes nestled within the northern slopes of the Tian Shan Mountains. Often called the Pearls of the Tian Shan, these lakes are formed by natural dams and fed by mountain streams and melting snow. Each lake reveals a different character. The lower lake is easily accessible, its deep blue waters surrounded by dense pine forests, while the upper lakes feel more remote, hidden deeper within the mountains, where the air grows thinner and the silence more profound. Here, reflections define the experience. Forests, mountains, and sky mirror perfectly on the water's surface, creating a sense of symmetry and calm that feels almost unreal. The further you go, the more the world seems to fade away. There are mountain ranges that rise from the earth, and then there are those that seem to hold up the sky itself. A place where peaks stretch endlessly across the horizon and distance becomes almost impossible to measure. Across Central Asia lies the vast Tian Shan, often called the Mountains of Heaven. Stretching across Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and into western China, this immense range forms one of the largest and most dramatic mountain systems in the world. Here, peaks rise sharply above deep valleys, with some summits reaching over 7,000 meters. Glaciers carve their way through rock, feeding rivers that sustain life far beyond the mountains themselves. Forests cover lower slopes, while higher elevations transition into snowfields and ice, creating a layered landscape that changes with altitude. But beyond its scale, the Tian Shan holds a sense of isolation. Vast regions remain remote and rarely visited, where silence dominates and nature exists largely untouched. The shifting light across snow and stone transforms the mountains throughout the day, revealing new shapes, new shadows, and new perspectives. At the base of towering mountains where urban life meets wild landscapes, there exists a city that feels both grounded and elevated, shaped by nature, yet constantly evolving with modern energy. A place where contrast defines every horizon. In southeastern Kazakhstan lies Almaty, the country's largest city and cultural center. Nestled against the foothills of the Transili-Alatau Mountains, it offers a rare combination of natural beauty and urban rhythm. Here, tree-lined streets, bustling markets, and contemporary architecture blend with a backdrop of snow-capped peaks that remain visible throughout much of the year. The city's layout reflects both its Soviet-era planning and modern transformation, creating a layered identity that continues to evolve. But beyond its structure, Almaty offers access to something greater. Just beyond the city limits, landscapes shift rapidly, from alpine lakes to deep valleys and vast steppe, making it a gateway between urban life and untouched nature. Hidden within a mountain landscape where forests meet cold, clear water, there exists a lake that feels suspended between two worlds, alive above the surface yet frozen in time below. A place where nature has preserved a moment and never let it fade. In southeastern Kazakhstan lies Lake Kendi, a surreal body of water formed after an earthquake in the early 20th century triggered a massive landslide, creating a natural dam that flooded a forest valley. What remains is extraordinary. Tree trunks rise straight out of the lake like silent masts of a submerged forest, while beneath the surface, the preserved branches and needles remain intact in the cold water, creating an underwater world frozen in clarity. Here, the contrast is striking. Deep turquoise water reflects surrounding pine forests and mountain slopes, yet just below lies a hidden landscape untouched by time. The stillness of the lake amplifies the experience, where every ripple feels amplified against the silence. In a land where the horizon often feels endless and uniform, there exists a place where the earth suddenly reveals color, pattern, and contrast, layers shaped over millions of years, exposed in silence. A landscape that feels almost painted rather than formed. Western Kazakhstan lies Kizilka, often called the Tiramisu Hills for its distinctive bands of red, white, and brown sediment. These rolling formations stretch across the steppe, creating a surreal terrain where each layer tells a story of ancient seas, climate shifts, and geological transformation. Here, the land appears soft and sculpted, yet it is the result of immense time and pressure. Wind and erosion have gradually revealed these stripe patterns, turning the hills into a natural canvas that shifts in tone under changing light, from deep crimson at sunset to pale ochre under midday sun. But beyond its visual impact, Kaiselkop represents something deeper, a record of Earth's history written in layers, quietly preserved in one of the most remote regions of the country. In a land once defined by open steppe and nomadic movement, there now rises a city built for the future, bold, geometric, and designed to stand against both climate and time. A place where vision has transformed empty horizon into a symbol of national identity. In northern Kazakhstan lies Astana, formerly known as Nur Sultan, a rapidly developed capital that reflects the country's modern ambitions. Rising from the vast steppe, its skyline is defined by futuristic architecture, where glass towers and sculptural structures create a landscape unlike any other in Central Asia. Here, design is intentional. Landmarks such as the Bayterik Tower stand as symbolic representations of growth and renewal, while wide boulevards and open spaces emphasize both scale and order. Despite extreme winters and strong winds, the city continues to expand, engineered to adapt to one of the harshest climates for any capital in the world. But beyond its modern identity, Astana represents something deeper, a shift from tradition to transformation while still rooted in the cultural history of the land. From vast steppe landscapes to hidden lakes frozen in time, this journey has revealed a land defined by scale, contrast, and quiet beauty. Places where nature stretches beyond the horizon and where history moves with the rhythm of the land. Beyond what is often seen lies another Kazakhstan, remote valleys, ancient pathways, and landscapes shaped by wind, water, and time. A world where movement once defined survival and where that spirit still lingers today. These are not just destinations. They are reflections of space, freedom, and the enduring connection between people and the land. And like all hidden wonders, there is always more waiting beyond the horizon.